Joe and Hampton, lights dim, it's game time. Interview sharp, cut through like a shank line.
There's a stigma with depression and anxiety, right?
Okay.
A lot of people, they don't want to tell their family, right? They try to hide it best they can, but eventually it comes out, right? Coming to therapy, a lot of times people are like, I've never done therapy before. I'm really nervous. Like, I don't know what to talk about. It's like, well, just talk about you. What's going on right now that is causing you issues? You know, why can't you get out of bed?
Yeah.
Okay. Mind-body connection in terms of how do we stay present. So usually client always like, well, how do you do that? You practice it. So if you're doing something, if you're in the middle of the mall, if you're at home, and all of a sudden you notice that your thoughts are just kind of going elsewhere, you just say, hey, where am I and what am I doing? And that will help you come back to being present.
Sometimes life can be tough.
Dekel's jam.
Deals you
My song. He's like, Dekel, this is so like, this is so me.
It's gonna be rough. Everyone needs a
I can see you singing
Right? Seriously?
a voice to listen.
Oh, God.
I know you pretty well.
I know.
Understand, it's time for your positive awakening. Share your worries, your cares.
I'm seriously gonna get lyrics.
You memorize the lyrics?
It's time for your positive awakening. He's here to help you reach your
We need to do a video. Like,
Totally, dude.
We need to do a video.
dreams.
All right, guys. Positive Awakenings Stick Lounge Podcast. How's everybody doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Great. Too blessed to be stressed.
There you go. All right, Dekel, we are back. Mr. Dekel Zuhri, you are the owner-operator of Positive Awakenings.
Oh, yes. Yes,
All
I
right.
am.
And who is our guest today? I'll let you introduce him. Even though I made sure I knew his full name before we started, he's your guest.
Appreciate it.
You go ahead and introduce.
Yes. Guest today is Wendell. And it's funny because now I'm thinking we met through our friend Jamal,
Correct.
but how long ago?
Wow. Were you at when Jamal bought his house? Were
Yes.
you there?
I wasn't there, but I knew him when he bought that house. But I did not go.
You did not go. It was at one of the various gatherings.
Yes.
So sometime between 2013 and now.
Yes.
That was in 2013.
Yep.
When I started hearing Dekel that.
All good. All
All
good.
good
Yeah, right.
things. All good things. And our mutual friend Jamal, being a very private person and a person who will say things like, tell you part of a story,
Yeah.
thinking that's the only part you need to know about.
Right.
So
when you don't get any context
any
around it or
context
anything.
at all. And so eventually, I think one day I was like, "Are you going to tell me like who Dekel is?" Because
Just like,
you keep saying, "Yeah,
right.
Dekel took me here." Who is this? Who is this person?
yeah. So
Yeah, we
met,
should probably get Jamal in here too. He works in insurance, right?
Well, he does like tech.
Oh, tech, okay.
For one of the hospitals,
Healthcare
right? Healthcare,
service-
yeah.
okay,
Healthcare systems.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. All right.
So,
So you are a nurse practitioner, correct?
I am
All right,
correct.
Dekel's doing a terrible job, so I'm going to take over.
I appreciate you.
And like I said, this is kind of Dekel's segment. We did our initial episode with Dekel, and there was a lot of good information in there. And we thought, let's do a series, for mental health, and we can branch out from there and other things. So tell us a little bit about what you do as a nurse practitioner.
Well, when Dekel first approached me on this is because he knew I worked with a lot of patients specifically suffering from mental illness and substance. They call it substance use disorder now, which is something.
It's not substance abuse anymore.
I'll get into that.
Okay.
I believe that will eventually come out during our time together. But so it's interesting because I did not go to school to be. You can be a psych nurse practitioner. You can be a family nurse practitioner. You can be an adult gero, meaning everybody over 13. And initially, I did not want to see children at all.
Right.
So I was doing adult gero nurse practitioners, but in terms of a marketplace, you need to see kids.
Right. Okay.
So stayed back in school, and then you only need a master's level to actually get licensed.
Okay.
But the current market says get a doctorate because you need to be competitive with these kids coming out now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because now most of the schools are requiring
Right.
that.
Right.
So when I did that, I went back and got my family nurse practitionership too, so I can see everybody in the spectrum.
Yeah.
But this particular, my current position was what attracted me was the population of people that I'm working with,
Okay.
and their needs, and believing that I was equipped emotionally and living a life understanding
Gotcha.
that and being not so desensitized to
That probably plays a big part in it too.
huge.
Yeah,
It's the forgotten It's the forgotten population.
So tell us about the population that you work with.
So most people are either homeless or if they are housed, they're in supportive housing through some type of organization. I learned so much about how, again, using the right verbiage, unhoused
Right.
folks are placed, and in terms of whatever the breakdown mentally that occurred, when it occurred, all these things play factors. But one of the biggest things, I'd say 99% of everyone I see are also on drugs. Just to put it plainly.
Sure.
Have found a way to medicate themselves.
Now, do you think is that partially just because of the situation they're in? It's like, screw it, I'm just going to do this, kill the pain this way kind of thing?
Chicken
or?
and the egg.
Okay.
Chicken and the egg.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
The big thing, and one of the things in terms of the word empathy, I'll probably use a lot today, and being able to see where they're coming from is that I'm able to, in their medical chart, see a history of these folks, because I don't do psych. I'm not a psych provider. I'm a medical provider in a psych facility.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They have sex and get STDs
Sure,
too.
sure.
They have all the things that we all may be exposed to, and they need to treat it for that. And from a mental perspective, they may not be able to engage in primary care as we do, make appointments for themselves, make it there, especially if they're strung out on
Whatever it is.
drug of choice. Drug of choice.
Well, I mean, just speaking as a functioning adult, it's not easy to get a primary care physician anymore, to deal with insurance. You get billed for stuff, and they're like, we're going to bill you, but you have to submit it to your insurance for reimbursement. Like, there's so much crap in the medical industry. So I totally understand that. I totally
Which
understand
actually
that.
speaks to, in terms of looking at it one way, and Dekel, you may be able to address this even more so, how much of that person's mental issue is when they do get on medication and get stabilized. Man, this is too much. I need to get back on my drugs. It'd just be easier this way.
And and a lot of people that either don't have family members that have experienced, being unhoused, addictions, anything like that. Because I've worked with agencies where we've gotten individuals that have discharged from Western State Hospital, and it got them housing. And I worked with this one guy for a number of years. He would still pitch a tent in his living room.
Correct.
That's wild.
And we are going on like, you have a bed now.
Is that like a PTSD almost kind of thing?
It could be in terms of what he went through, but it's also comfortable for him. He was living in a tent for 25, 30 years.
It's a lived
That's what he knows.
experience.
Exactly. That's what he knows.
It's taking a feral animal, and caging it, and then expecting them to know this is how you clean your bathroom.
Yeah.
That's how you wash dishes.
This is how you go grocery shopping.
I've not done that.
Yeah. It reminds me, and I don't want to sidetrack the conversation too much, but it reminds me of our veterans.
Yeah.
Because I have family and friends that have been to war, especially with Afghanistan, how long we were there.
Yeah.
And they come back to society, literally kids that came back that I trained to work in my industry.
Yeah.
And having conversations with them, they're like, I can't do this. They're like, I over there, I was kicking indoors, running the show.
Yeah.
Every day was, running and gunning. And just like you said, I got to go to the store.
Yeah.
Like, I got to worry about somebody behind me driving. I'm not driving fast enough.
Yeah.
It's like it's a mindset that in both scenarios, it seems like you can't just flip over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
It will stay. Well, not even traveling too far from there. Like from a medical perspective, things I've learned from being around addiction medicine specialists and things of that nature is that the reason why in the 80s we were just crackheads,
yeah.
and the war on drugs in the 90s.
Yeah.
And now I, as a black man was very like reticent about these, now it's, stimulant use disorder.
Yes.
So you've been able to cage this into a nice little, bundle this into something really pretty now, so that
You talked about kind of getting rid of the negative connotation to it.
well, the negative connotation, more so growing up in Southern California, as a young black man, you just went to prison, for your substance use. Now, you walk downtown where I work, and people are using drugs everywhere
All the time.
and
Yeah.
police just walk by because, at least from a societal perspective, it's like, what is the use of me jailing you
Right.
Yeah.
for you to be released back to this situation? But medically speaking, I do have a better understanding now in that the changes in the brain that happen over not just from drug use, but going back to what you're talking about, these young people going off to war and stuff like that. And, your brain doesn't really stop evolving, 26, 27, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So, they're 23 years old, they're over there, and their brain gets kind of wired this way.
Yep.
And then they come back to society
Yeah.
and are asked to now
To be a model citizen.
be a model citizen, go back in this cage, to not be in a tent anymore, like as you said. I can't do that. I don't feel safe, and it triggers me.
Yeah.
And it's those triggers that then have us, castigate them and call them crazy and call them out of line.
Right.
So they're all, I guess the biggest thing I've learned these last few years is that whatever the trigger was, whether it was PTSD from a life of a soldier, if it was whatever abuse at whatever age, being exposed to drugs at a young age, there is actually, now we have scientific evidence that it actually changes the composition of your frontal cortex.
Brain structure,
And now trying to break that.
Is it changing the structure because it's like working, like say you only did curls with your right arm and not your left arm, right? You're going to get a bigger right arm. Is it that functioning portion of the brain constantly in fight or flight or constantly receiving endorphin or whatever it is that overdevelops it? Just curious.
I think was stress. So cortisol levels, things of that nature. But the changing of the structure of the brain it's such an interesting thing, and one of the other is probably the final straw that broke the camel's back for me, and why I had this empathy and love for this population is because I have a neurological disorder, and it's just a chemical imbalance.
Gotcha.
And I think to myself, wow, if it had been this chemical instead of this chemical,
what different would your life be?
There I am.
Yeah.
Because,
Sure.
But and I have a sleep disorder. So your circadian rhythms that you wake up and go to sleep, non-existent for me.
Really?
And so, and I remember,
Is that due to like hormones and chemicals?
it was not to get too technical, but
Sure.
in your pituitary gland, you have this in your third eye, as it's called. It can sense, like, when you fly from the West Coast to the East Coast, within about a day or so, your body adjusts to the time,
Right.
and it releases a chemical, and then it goes into your hypothalamus, and your hypothalamus then resets your clock. So it's postulated that for individuals with narcolepsy,
Oh, you have actual narcolepsy.
severely,
Wow.
that the mechanism that creates that chemical is destroyed. It could be autoimmune system related. I have a family history of it, so others in my family have it.
It's a genetic too.
Could be
Oh,
a
wow.
genetic
Yeah.
Okay.
But but the biggest postulation is that normally there's a triggering event. And I remember between like age of 9 and 12, like there was a huge change in my life. And that's when the symptoms started to present themselves. I have no idea if they would have presented themselves regardless of this triggering event.
Right, yeah.
But I know that there was a
something.
triggering event surrounding my ability to sleep,
Yeah.
like very specific.
Yeah.
And so I say that to say that it's very, and this is in the 90s, so there wasn't really the
research and
research and the medication
Yeah, any
to
support or
control it.
anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was called lazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I was still an A student,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But I'm lazy. I don't, and it
That's how it was
becomes-
back in the day, right? You're just
Get
Right, yeah.
rub it off, take some
Right.
put some dirt on it.
Yep, yep.
Put some take some Robitussin, and everything is better, right?
Yeah.
And it was very frustrating, and it began to like break relationships between me and I was like,
Your family.
you don't understand, and you're not taking the time to listen about.
Right.
I'm not doing anything on purpose. Like, why would I want to do?
Right. I'm choosing not to sleep.
I'm choosing
Like,
not
yeah,
to
not
be,
to- yeah,
be
yeah.
that way. I mean, even taking it a step further, being gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Choose. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do? I want to. My father was a pastor, so I want to like separate myself from the only thing I know, church.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to separate as a black man from my community.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm choosing to
Yeah,
do that.
to do this. Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe not.
Right. Well, and just to step in real quick, as a dad, I've learned this a lot, with what we've gone through, Dekel, you know, excuse me, my daughter was diagnosed with endometriosis, which I've learned a lot about. It is a terrible, terrible disease. They're actually looking at classifying it close to something akin to cancer.
Oh, wow.
Less fatality, but the way it multiplies and grows. Anyways, long story short, since she was, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, since she started menstruating, it was always, I can't go to school. I'm in so much pain. She'd be in so much pain, she'd throw up. And as a dad, not knowing anything, and even with Becca, not knowing anything, this is what it feels like to be a girl.
Yeah.
Like get up and go to school. You know? And then on the same side with Zoe, she would always come home and fall asleep every damn day after school. Come home, go to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, homework,
Yeah,
chores.
like,
Life
what are you
doesn't
doing?
stop when you get home from school.
Right.
So one day I had a conversation with her audiologist. My youngest is deaf, born deaf, has cochlear implants. And the audiologist is like, how's her after school crash? And I go, what?
What?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, a lot of kids, with cochlear implants, they just crash after a long day of hearing because it takes so much more mental power for her
energy. Yeah.
to focus on a conversation, to process it in a classroom setting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm a terrible dad. I'm
No,
such a bad dad.
No,
But you know what though? But it gives you context because we all feel the same way that day when, because I know this all the time when I have just a difficult patient day, and I haven't moved any more than I normally would, physically that day. But my mind, because I'm not only dealing with patients, I'm dealing with case managers, and social workers, and people who I don't necessarily deem as competent all the time.
I think we all have those in our professions.
Yeah, right. And it's just push and pull, and how can I remain professional and still help this person, and so on and so forth. And I come home and I have plans, and then I wake up from that 3-hour nap.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
That's
for
it.
my-
Yeah,
for
yeah.
my evening. So I can really, for Zoe,
So what do you take for narcolepsy? Is it like an Ambien or something like that? Can they do? Because I don't think that. Correct me if I'm wrong. That doesn't really work for like narcolepsy, does it?
For one, narcolepsy is a syndrome. So to be specific, a syndrome is anything that there are symptoms and that fall under this umbrella of what they would call narcolepsy. So it's kind of like a schizoaffective disorder.
Okay.
The reason why they call it a disorder because some people will have some of the
Symptoms and some
some
won't.
people won't.
Yeah.
There's no across the board.
Not across the board and how much it affects you, but the main things are going to be what they call EDS, excessive daytime sleep. There would be cataplexy, meaning, which is what you see in movies a lot when they have people who are narcoleptic, they just fall out.
Yeah.
Because when you have certain emotions, I'll lose muscle control. Like I feel my legs going weak.
Wow.
I can play it off now because it's been for so long.
Yeah.
I feel it coming on.
Yeah.
Right. I'll sit down.
Okay.
And then the last thing, which is the most frustrating part of it, in my opinion, is insomnia. So like, I can't sleep at night. I want to sleep during the day.
Yeah.
But the sleep during the day is not restful because people go through sleep cycles that will determine the amount of restfulness that you have. But one of the deepest places to go is REM, like rapid eye movement, or dreaming. But that's not actually restful sleep because your brain is extremely active. Okay. And normally it takes about 2 or 3 hours for a person without narcolepsy to reach that REM state. Okay. So you're in a pretty deep sleep already.
Right.
But for people with narcolepsy, I remember having a sleep study. I've had 3 sleep studies, and every time the neurologist or the sleep professional would laugh. Like, I've never seen a brain do what yours does.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I thought it was a one-off on the first time.
I'm going to invite like 6 more people. Can we do this again?
The third different person, because these are all different people who are like, wow. I'm like, because they forced me to not take my medicine for like 3 days before the study. So I can't remember any, like, it's so
you're already dysregulated. Like, there's so much stuff.
So, but they put you in this room. They keep you awake during the day, and they're coming into you, and then they let you sleep for like a certain amount of time. Then they wake you up, and they'll ask me like, "How long do you think it took you before once we left for you to go to sleep?" And I was like, 6, 7, maybe 10 minutes. They were like, we couldn't get back to the board fast enough.
Oh, wow.
You're already asleep and dreaming.
So
my body does not go through the sleep stages. It goes straight
it just crashes
to dreaming, which is not restful. So that's why the sleep is not restful.
Wow.
And it leads to hallucinations. So what people would see, that's a fourth symptom, is hallucinations. And it's not like in the psych world in terms of people having auditory hallucinations or visual hallucinations. It's the dream, because I'm not fully, almost even unconscious. My dream has already started.
Right.
So someone who
kind of
walks
an in-between
into
state
and we've all had that. Like you're watching a TV program and then you're dozing off, and all of a sudden in your dream, like it seems like you're part of the program.
Yeah.
Okay. Times 100. Like
Yeah.
it's real.
It's real.
Like
Yeah.
to the point where I felt as if somebody had broke my wrist in my dream. And then like for a week I had to wear a brace because physiologically, like I couldn't move my wrist.
Manifested it
because
almost.
the pain was so bad.
That's wild. The crazy thing, is it's kind of tripped me out because I am a vivid dreamer. Like sometimes I go to bed and I'm like, what's going to happen tonight? Like I actually enjoy it. Like I have the most vivid dreams every night. I have for probably the last, 4 or 5 years. But I've also had bouts of sleep paralysis. And that's kind of what, not many. But there's been a couple times when I'm having like a bad dream. And I'm like in between this stage of like being awake and being asleep, and I can't move.
You can't move,
and it takes a lot of mental power. Like you're laying there like,
get up. Oh, wow.
And so, I can relate to that. It's wild. It's wild.
It's wild. But, again, that being my lived experience, I always look at now the patients I have, right? And I say, none of them signed their yearbook like, I want to be the best junkie ever.
Right.
Or I want to
live in the streets.
I want to live in the streets and have the best tent in the whole tent city. And there are people who I can look back and 5-6 years ago were married with their kids and their spouse. And something happened.
Yeah.
In many cases, it was always there. I can see like just strange comments that providers will put in notes like, yeah, the patient asked me this like this weird question.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
didn't make any sense, but
Mhm.
I think they're stressed because their marriage is in
Whatever. Yeah.
turmoil right now,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they were showing signs,
Mhm.
and they just hadn't gone off the ledge yet,
Hmm.
and ended up where they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was wondering, so for you as a kiddo, how did that impact your mental health? Like going to school, socializing, right? All that kind of stuff. Like how did you cope with that?
I don't know if I did a good job or bad job or indifferent. I do know that now I'm more than just a homebody.
Mhm.
Like when I'm out
Mhm.
and I'm in an environment, I'm very comfortable being social.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But getting me out
Yeah.
is the challenge.
Mhm.
I'd much rather just be at home.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same. I'm smiling because I'm the same.
Yeah.
I can go out and have a great time.
Yeah.
You guys all sing karaoke.
Yeah.
I'm going to host this Bayside Ball thing here. But if I'm sitting at home, I'm like, I'm good,
I'm
man.
not.
Like,
I'm
I'm
not.
good. I don't need to be out doing things.
Yeah. And I don't seek it at all.
Mm.
But that's partly because how I was raised at a very domineering father who his favorite saying, like, you have your own house. Like, you don't need to be at your friend's house. You need to go to your friends. So we weren't like allowed to have like friends over.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to spend the night at friends' house.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a very strict environment. It was so that's one thing. And really education was my way out. Like I was like, the only way I'm going to get away from these people is to do well in school.
Wow.
So I can go to college, start my life,
Yeah.
and do my thing. So that I recognize that at a early in high school, like freshman, sophomore year, I was like, okay, there's nothing else I can do. I'm stuck because it wasn't like, and Ashley, Joe, you can tell me because I know in the Black community, it's like your parents are like, I'm gonna run away. They're like, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You want away? Yeah, get up, yo.
Who else gonna take care? Man, go ahead, run away. My white friends tell me that is not their lived experience. Like their parents are very traumatized by like the fact that you like run away, or stuff like that. So
I will affirm that. Yeah. Well, especially like I have 3 daughters, right?
Right.
So they're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Not unless I sign off on it.
and
even my sister, when she was like 15 or 16, like she split, right? She went to live with her boyfriend. That was out of control. Like my house blew up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, it would
There was no
never-
go ahead. It was what the hell do you think you're doing? You know?
Yeah. I remember when I was in college, like I again growing up in Southern California in the 80s, it was rough.
Yeah.
And I get to college in Spokane, Washington, where there are like 8 Black people. Kidding.
Wow.
But
It felt that way,
it
right?
felt like that.
Yeah.
And I'm 18 years old in this bar where I shouldn't have been. And a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, gets into a fight, and we get shot at. Right?
Whoa.
So I'm like, I grew up in Southern California my whole life.
Yeah,
I've
right.
never been
What
shot
the
at. I come to freaking Spokane. And I get shot. So
There's guns in the ghetto and there's
Yeah,
guns in the
yeah,
country,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
So we point out the people, like, because we're pissed. Like, no, it was him. So the guy gets arrested. So I go home for Christmas break. I come back, and in my little school thing is the subpoena for court. What is that? And in our exuberance of like getting this guy, I forgot the fact that I'm a minor in a bar.
Oh. Oops. Oops.
Oh.
And so here I am in this courtroom bawling like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I was telling this judge, and I'm bawling, and there's no one is laughing. Like no one is laughing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, listen, you don't understand. If my father gets off a plane,
Right.
It was more like, you don't understand.
it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I don't know about going to jail.
Yeah.
I was like, if
Worried about
my
dad.
mother and father get off that, you have to come up here on a plane. I mean, they're going to take my life. Like my
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
is in
yeah, I'm
jeopardy.
done. Like,
I'm not
You
even.
guys should be worried too.
yeah.
I'm like, I got like 6 sisters. I got a bunch of siblings. I go like, now my dad's gonna be in jail. My mom,
right.
Who's gonna raise the rest of the kids?
You're destroying
my
a family right
goodness.
now.
I'm like, they're literally gonna come up here and take my life if they find out what has gone on.
Right.
And that's a different. And again, it's a time thing.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to your original question of how it affected me. I mean, it also pushed me to excel in my education and in my career pursuits.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a healthy. I did not have it was a fear of my parents. It was not a healthy fear.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a respect fear. It was just fear. Whereas I'm not a parent, but I do believe that healthy fear should be really what the term is respect.
Yeah.
For sure.
And not
And helps with a little bit of
actually
motivation.
Fear.
Yeah.
Because actual fear prevents you from coming to Dad Joe with my problem.
Right. Exactly.
Because without the love and respect that I believe my Dad Joe has for me, that
Well, my girls will tell you like they can count when they know Dad's been mad at them. And they're very comfortable. We have a great relationship. But they were talking not too long ago. Viddy and Lil were having a conversation. They're like, "Remember that time when Dad got mad and yelled? Like he does that yell." I'm like, right. So they know it's there.
Yeah,
They don't fear it, but they know it can happen.
They know it's there, and they know they probably tell their friends like, "Yeah, you don't want to be on my dad's bad side.
Yeah.
So let's keep this kosher. When
Right.
you walk in the house, say
Oh my
hello, be
gosh.
respectful. Do all those things."
Yeah. So when were you diagnosed with narcolepsy?
When I was 16.
Okay.
The symptoms probably started when I was about 9 or 10, but they really started when I was 12. And my brother moved out, and I always shared a room with him. It's the first time having a room by myself. And we moved, and everybody else was upstairs, and I was downstairs by myself.
Okay.
And the house is old and creaky, and like every sound would like
Yeah.
wake me up. And
I
I
got
thought
Paranormal Corner on the other
Right.
podcast.
No, I'm just telling you. I believed all of that stuff.
Right.
Okay. But the other big thing was that my dreams changed. So that's when my dreams started becoming so super realistic.
Was that frightening for you?
Man, it was beyond frightening. And the crazy part. So this is the crazy part. So this would have been 1989, maybe.
Excuse me.
My mother finally told me this story that one of my teachers called the house and said, "Yeah, I think Wendell needs to go to see somebody because no, his school work's impeccable, but he can't stay away for like 2 minutes."
Wow.
And he'll
You
be
just fall asleep in class.
He'll be in the middle of answering a question, and he'll be conversing with me, and his voice will trail off, and his head will go down. He'll go to sleep, like while talking.
Yeah.
Which are things. The other things like I don't remember these things. I remember waking up. I don't remember the things that actually happened.
Yeah.
So we go, we do all these things, and then the neurologist says, Mrs. Sylvester, can I talk to him alone? He looks at me and he says, "Is the devil chasing you?"
Wow.
What?
That is a random question from a physician.
What?
From a physician. So I remember.
This is in California?
It's in California. And I remember the arms of the chair,
Oh, no.
You know, like when the superheroes on the
And it's
things,
a vibrant, yeah.
Well, no, they're so strong they just start to squeeze and they end up breaking. That's what when he asked me that, I felt like I was going to I could like squeeze and like break the metal. And I was like, "Who told you that?" I haven't told anybody that.
What the hell?
And and I didn't even, I didn't even realize like tears were just coming out. I didn't realize any of it. Because I was like, who told you that? Like, how could you know that? Because now I'm freaking out because I'm
Right.
already thinking I'm going crazy.
Right.
Like, I'm literally.
You're a kid, and you're just
I began to like 3 shows: Taxi, The Honeymooners, and Cheers. Why? They came on at 11:30,
Yeah.
and at midnight.
Yeah.
In my room, those were the things I watched late at night.
Yeah.
I never thought they were funny.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it became because I
Right.
needed to stay awake
Yeah.
because I did not want to
fall
go to sleep.
Yeah.
And he said, well, no, it's fine. He said, I only asked that because you have a very religious family. And so normally the fear
That's a hell of a jump.
Yeah, the fear that is, found in people's dreams are going to be related around something that has been an idea that has been planted in their head.
Persecution,
in terms of
religious persecution. Yeah.
heaven and hell, and if you're not good and you did it.
Gotcha.
And then so
He was just deducing.
he was deducing. So essentially, if my dad was a coal miner, like, are you scared your dad's going to get like trapped in a coal mine, caveman or something like that?
I was kind of going where maybe you had slipped into that between dream state or something there for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's
we're
get
making
to
a
the
movie right
paranormal. No. So now we can cross
script
over. We can cross over from reality and medical things into a paranormal realm in terms of like how this has kind of colored my idea of just of like people with mental illness.
Yeah.
And looking at people 6,000 years ago who were now the seers of the tribe,
Yeah.
and
I thought about
the
that
dream
too.
walkers of the
Yeah.
tribe.
Yeah.
I just think I really believe, or people who were possessed. Okay, your possession was they actually had epilepsy. They would have a seizure, and by the time, and so the parents and they're frothing, and by the time the medicine person got there, a grand mal seizure will last a few minutes. So they get there, the seizure would now be dying down. They throw some salt and some holy water on them, and they would think, oh, they must have like
Fixed it.
when it was just the end of the seizure, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, I just think people who had those, like I said, my dreams are like, they're not the video camera of you watching things happen.
Yeah.
It's like I'm actually being grabbed. I feel them
You can feel it.
physically.
Yeah.
I think that may have something to do with like the people in the past who were like the seers. I think people who are now diagnosed with schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder or whatever, maybe is because of the we call it an imbalance, but is it really an imbalance of chemicals, or is it the chemicals in our brain are working this way to shield us from what is spiritually happening in our midst?
Almost like a protection mechanism.
Protection mechanism, but because of their what we call an imbalance, they can see it.
Yeah.
What we as humans weren't meant to see.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've often wondered that. You see these people in Seattle, because we have a lot of it here.
Yeah.
He's screaming in the air, man.
Yeah.
Just fighting demons. And it's like, I mean, I say that as a
Right. Yeah.
description term, I guess. But
Yeah.
but like you, I'm like, it's like okay, Lily's got a cat now, right? If that cat's staring at something that I can't see, I'm like, what are you looking at?
Correct.
Like, what
animals,
in the hell can
yeah.
you see that I can't see?
No,
Well,
animals are really perceptive.
and,
right?
and it's become a skill of me learning with someone who is schizophrenic, and I'm providing them they have a wound or something, and I'm trying to bandage it, and all of a sudden they're just like, what the F? And this becomes this very volatile conversation. It took me a while to recognize they're not talking to me.
Yeah.
So one, let them finish their conversation with either the person they're looking at who's not there, or just the person who's in their head telling them whatever they're telling them.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not true. He's helping me. He really is. I know this guy. Shut the,
Right.
They're really having this debate with this other person.
That's wild.
But to them, it's so vivid.
And it's so real. It is happening to them.
It is
Like,
happening to them. I respect it now, and I will back off and over time, I've come to be able to look at them and see, okay, here's my opening to say, okay, hey, Joe, does this hurt? And Joe's face will relax and say, oh, no, it's fine. But then he'll go back.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can get him centered for long enough to get confirmation that it's okay. And then this person goes back.
Yeah. I want to ask both of you guys this question because we kind of dipped into this other side of it, real quick. You both have dealt with people with schizophrenia and disorders as such.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of them say something to you where you're like what the doctor said to you is the devil chasing you? Have you ever had a schizophrenic person say something where maybe like you and I think are kind of on the same page where you might be seeing like a third eye kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You ever walked away going, what? What?
Yeah,
what? How did you know? Or that's way too close to home.
There are times where I've worked with clients for 6 to 9 months, maybe a year, a little bit more. And what I'll try to do is I learn to be vulnerable with them, and just also talking to them like they're a person because they are a person.
Sure.
Right? I'm not talking to a person that has schizophrenia. I'm talking to Joe, or I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to Bob. And sometimes they will say things, and at first I'm like, are they talking to me? Or are they talking past me or through me? Or, and so, but I always have to give it that time and space. And then to check in and be like, oh, hey, so what's going on now? Are we going to do this? And then they'll look at me. And I had this one person, he was one of my favorites. He would not let any of the nurse practitioners, anyone go in his apartment for a while, for a long time. He would meet me out front. We'd do medications. We'd chat for a little bit. And so finally, he's like, you want to come to my apartment? And I was like, sure. His apartment, it was a mess,
Sure.
So I'm like, but I took this time just to walk around and just take a look at it. And I was like, oh, hey, do you mind if I just check out your bathroom just to make sure everything's okay there? He's like, sure. I walked around the corner. His bathroom light, it was like this little hall was like flickering. I'm like, this feels like a scary movie. But when I walked in his bathroom, his toilet had overflowed.
Absolutely.
But he was still using it.
Exactly.
For months
Oh,
and
man.
The
months.
situations that is, it's like, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
right?
it really
Right?
is. And the thing about it is he was in this program for almost 2 years. How come nobody was able to get in? But the reason why is because they just
wouldn't let him in. He
they
wouldn't let him in. Right.
And you can't, there's no like.
Exactly. So
Okay.
you're don't. I always tell people, don't try to speak sense into a nonsensical situation.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yes, but your first thought is absolutely correct.
Right.
But I'm not going to get into community failures and system failures because those are systemic failures
Yep.
that Dekel and I deal with on a daily basis that are out of our control.
Yeah.
That are very frustrating.
If you had to, we've talked a lot about, I'm learning that you have also dealt with a lot of this here now. I've talked to you a lot about this in the past, the system failures, the people that slip through the cracks, or they do get help, but then it runs out in a sense.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
you're back on the street.
Yeah.
What, if you had to start fixing that problem, where would it start? Is there even a starting point? Is there somewhere where someone needs to direct their attention to build that pyramid?
Dekel's probably going to have a much better answer than this. but that's there's a saying is that if you don't know the cause of a problem, the answer is money.
I was going to say, is it money?
Okay,
Yeah.
so well, and when I say that in terms of the willingness of people to invest in the solutions, because everything makes a profit. So
Sure.
that's one thing.
Mhm.
That's just one thing. But the other thing is that it's almost like if we had started addressing the actual root cause in 1970,
Right.
we might be at a place where we. But at this point,
It's so far gone.
It's
Yeah.
so far.
It's so far gone, And again, so individuals, let's say if we're staying like on schizophrenia, typically it shows up in like early 20s,
Right.
Now there are also like indicators, when they're teenagers, they have a little odd behavior, but again, parents don't really put two and two together. Doctors don't, and if no one tells the doctor, if no one tells someone, they're not going to say, well, let's sit down and do a really good evaluation, see what's going on, right? But at that point, then all of a sudden, when they start hearing voices or telling their parents or their friends, oh yeah, this person's talking to me, then all of a sudden their support group, it goes away. Now people are afraid. They're alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if they were working and now they're not going to work, they're paying the rent, or they're not going to school.
Just a snowball effect.
It's just a snowball effect. And if they are living on their own, then the parents are like, well, I don't know. I haven't talked with them in weeks. I don't know where they are. So yeah. So
But even in that, there's a word that I've come to loathe, hate, despise, but a necessary term in the whole mental health nomenclature, and that's autonomy. I can't stand it.
Like personal autonomy?
I can't.
Yeah.
Because what is decisional capacity? What is autonomy? So if
Good point.
Joe does not let me hit in his apartment for months. We have this breakthrough. Joe lets me in. There's feces all over his bathroom. At what point do I say, for the sake of Joe, I'm a mandatory reporter. So I need to report this, and then APS comes in and takes him out of the apartment. So now I've lost that trust with Joe to medicate him as a provider.
Right.
He's not going to do that anymore. Did I actually push him down a rabbit, even a worse rabbit hole?
Right.
When we talk about how well do providers actually take into consideration the whole person and say, okay, they don't have decisional capacity, but I can't also make it this big determination that everybody I see is going to get an LAI, a long-acting injectable antipsychotic, which were a game changer when they came out, right? So
I didn't even know that existed.
So yeah, you don't have to take risperidone every day, or you don't have to take whatever it is. You could take an Invega, which is once every 28 days. You just get this shot of this antipsychotic, and you're pretty good. Once they find the right dose and stuff like that. And if it were up to me, everybody downtown Seattle, you're coming and getting stuck, and getting this thing because you need it. But I have to take a step back, Joe Dekel, and say, I've seen it because I've seen it too often. I work with an organization that is proud about housing first.
Okay.
People housed.
Well, it's a good speaking.
It's a point. Good. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
It does.
Yep.
And I think it's crap. And here's why. Okay. If you haven't given them housing readiness, so something you said 30 minutes ago about a guy having a tent in the middle of his living room, have you equipped this person to live inside? Because I can name people right now who have apartments who haven't been there in weeks. They live outside.
They live outside.
Yeah.
One, because that's where their friends are. Two, that's where the drugs are.
Yep.
And three, if once they actually get the court order or whatever it is to enter their space, it's nasty.
Yeah.
Right. They've destroyed it to a point
It's
where
destroyed it to a point where it's even gross to them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you and I have talked about it, and I've heard it other places before too. People want to do these old hotels, right? They want to take that hotel and build it up and make it a homeless community, unhoused community.
That's one of the. I do actually work with one of those.
Okay.
A couple of those places.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't want to be there because they get robbed. People get murdered. Like it gets real bad real fast, doesn't it?
Bad.
Yeah, like homeless shelters aren't safe.
Right.
In a sense for a lot of people.
Right.
And it's not safe for that. So like there's some places up on Aurora and that the intention is great.
Sure.
The intended use is great. And they have their own space and stuff like that. most of the doors lock,
Mhm.
so they can get it, but they'll lose the key. Again, things that we don't think about, like they've lost their key, so on and so forth. So they'll prop their door open and then they come in.
Right.
But the other big thing is like they'll get someone to get discharged from the hospital, and I'll see the discharge note in the medical system, and I'll say, "Oh man, they need to be on these 2 antibiotics," but they gave it to the patient.
Right.
By the next day, where are your meds? Oh, somebody stole them.
Yep.
They're gone.
They're gone,
You
yeah.
know, in my bag. Now,
They don't even know what they're stealing either. They're just
50,
taking
but
it, right?
50% of the time, I'm just like, hey, Dekel, well, let's look in your bag. Oh, it's not in my bag, man. I got so let's just check your bag anyway.
And it's
there.
And it's in the bottom of the bag.
Yeah.
But
They're just assuming.
the and the voice, again, the emergency department and many hospitals aren't equipped, and it's not financially viable to address people's mental illness right then and there.
Yeah.
So they're clearly schizophrenic. They clearly have responding to auditory hallucinations, and they'll still discharge them.
Yeah. So discharge them. Yeah.
So I know we have behavioral clinics,
Mhm.
right? I want to say most of them are state funded, correct? There's some.
There's some. I mean,
They're
yeah. So,
most of them are like Western State.
Western,
I didn't know that. I didn't know all these things. Western State and Fairfax and all these places. They're like privately.
they're private. They're private.
Privately,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about? And this might be a hot take, as the kids say, but I mean, it seems to me if it was done correctly, a mental institution like we used to have in the United States could be a viable option.
So every
Because
state
you're talking
is,
about monitoring.
right. So every state is
medications,
different.
right?
So like in Arizona and Phoenix, when I was in mental health there, they had 3 stages. They had a 24-hour, a 16-hour, and 8-hour facility. So 24 hours more like locked, more kind of like a hospital setting, right? So when clients would discharge, if they were doing well, they would discharge to a 16-hour facility, which was actually like an apartment complex, but they would staff there 16 hours a day.
Okay.
So there were some social workers, case workers, you know. So it was kind of like a step down approach. So the goal is to, like, if you're the 16-hour facility and you're doing well, then you go to the 8-hour facility, and then from 8-hour facility, then it's like into your own housing.
It's not like that.
It's not. And I
Sounds
and
like a
again,
good
it's-
idea to
and
me.
again,
But it doesn't work, huh?
for purposes of like politicians selling things, like
Right.
that sounds great, right? Like, oh, we're getting people off the street and into these
A program.
right.
And there are. I'm sure there are case studies of it effectively helping people.
Some.
So
Mhm.
there are some, right? But like in Washington, we have a DCR system. A DCR is an individual who will go out and deem somebody. They don't have the decisional capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll get on what is called an ITA hold,
Mhm.
only 72 hours
Yeah.
in the facility. But the goal of holding them is not to get them treatment.
No.
The goal of holding them is because they were a danger to themselves
Yeah.
or
others.
others.
Mm.
Right? So they'll get there and listen, we have this medication. I don't want it. Okay. And it's a quick, okay. So they don't have to take the medicine.
Yeah.
Because that's their
Autonomy.
autonomy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I saw it
Okay,
coming.
you saw
I
it
saw
coming?
Yep. Coming back.
And
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm just like, that's back assward because you just deemed that they didn't have decisional capacity.
Mm.
Like they poop on themselves.
Mhm.
They did, and that. Okay, well, isn't that a reason to like get them medicated?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the flip side, though. Interestingly, and I talked earlier about housing preparedness. Like a hypothetical patient, married, children, has this breakdown a few years ago and is now on the street. When I met this person, was rubbing poop all over themselves.
Mm.
Okay?
Crazy.
Got them on medication.
Yep.
Eventually, to the point they were still having some challenges.
Mm.
Like we spoke off air about some what we call rhinitis or some upper respiratory things.
Yeah, I might actually clip that in for everybody.
That Joe was experiencing.
Yeah.
And okay, so then my job as a medical provider, I listened to what you said and asked a few questions. And then once I got better context, I could say, you know what, you might think about this, Joe. Right?
Right.
So with this person, I can actually have that discussion of, they thought they had asthma. And they thought it was because they were in a shelter at the time that the persons who they were with smelled so bad that it was giving them breathing problems. When after discussion, you know what, I think you just have allergies. I'll give you this allergy medicine.
Yeah.
Right. So, but had gone from like poop on themselves, to like having
With the proper medication.
discussion. Yeah, with proper medication. But here's a problem. We found housing for you. Okay, great. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you move this person into a space. Like, do they have a bed?
Yeah.
Is there a couch?
Right.
It's a space.
Yeah, it's a space, but
Do they have these things? Are you going to is there funding to take them shopping? Because they're still coming every day asking for clothes. Like, well, they have clothes. Like, there's a ton of clothes sitting in the corner. Well, yeah, because there's no washer and dryer in their apartment.
yeah.
They get their $320-something from the state every month. So do they have money to go to a laundromat? Do they know how to do that?
Yeah.
So nothing, you did nothing to help prepare them to be housed. But the biggest thing is that there's not the ongoing counseling. So
Exactly.
I'm sure Dekel can back me up on this, and that medication alone is not sufficient. You
Yeah.
got to have the
You have to have both.
counseling,
The counseling,
and the both, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, because those things need to be adjusted.
they need to be
sometimes, too.
adjusted,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And having people the root cause and understanding that they're not a bad person, and you're in a state right now like you could be triggered by these things, and what triggers you, and what are going to be your compensation mechanisms, and all these things beyond just your medication and things like that. But the other thing is to also scale things back in this regard. Similarly to the reason why people will get on street drugs to calm the voices, to cool the voices, or just to numb them to the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Some people will get on, their Haldol's and their Risperidones and all these antipsychotics, start getting clarity again. What happens when you do that? Well, you start to remember your life.
Yeah. You start looking at what's going on, what's
going on?
happened.
What
yeah.
you've been trying to get rid of and not remember.
What the heck is going on in my life? I used to be, a school teacher.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to be this, and now I'm living in this trash apartment
Right.
Yeah.
with these crazy people.
Right. Yeah.
Because now that I'm on meds, I'm realizing, oh my God, why are you talking to yourself like that? Do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, in this hypothetical person, remembered like, oh, I have kids.
Man.
Where are my kids? And so I hypothetically saw this as bad because I was seeing this person for a medical issue, and they were talking about, oh, I want to reconnect with my family, and I want to do this, and I was like, oh, okay. And I immediately went, we'll go to like the prescriber and the case. You need to spend some more time. I don't have time to be counseling people. I get them money.
Right.
But I said, well, they're really wanting to get back with their. I don't know if they're like ready for that.
Yeah.
And if their family.
Well, and
is
how the
ready.
family receives it could
Yes.
be a huge
Yep.
thing.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then I have to take a step. I hate saying stay in my lane, but I need to let this play out because these are things beyond my control.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then one day I see this person and their countenance has changed. Their ability to look at me when I speak to them, things of that nature. I'm like, what the heck happened?
Is a backslide?
So then eventually they tell me, well, my family member brought my youngest son to see me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was so traumatic because for the kid, but also for the patient, because it was a reality check. It's like, oh my God, my place is trash.
Yeah.
I can see on my son's face that
Kid was probably scared.
Yeah.
Confused.
You live in this neighborhood now?
Yeah.
Right. What is going on? And immediately off meds.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately.
Just kind of goes back to.
I mean,
wanted to separate from everything.
I needed,
Mm-hmm.
And it destroyed all the progress that had been gone because no one had a term thought, then what?
Yeah.
I always say, then what? Okay, you're going to do this thing? Then what?
You know, yeah.
Right.
And the sad thing too is that with a lot of individuals that they're severely mentally ill, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can be in different mental health agencies, right? Now, there are ones where they go to their home, but even then, it's not often. Like they'll have a nurse, like, drop off the medications. They might have like a voc specialist, but they usually try to go to the office, right? Everything's at the office. Oh, come into my office. Counselor, come into my office. There's no counseling in the home. Nothing.
And
Trolls me crazy.
And for a person who has like a case manager, there's a reason they have a case manager.
Right.
Making an appointment, not a priority.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you gave him a week's worth of meds, and then you drop off a week's worth next week. I go, you have never observed this person
Taking the meds.
ingest
Yes.
the meds.
Yep.
It needs to go in their body
Yeah.
in order to be effective.
Yep.
Newsflash. Hot take.
Man, I got to say, guys, listening to everything you're telling me, I don't. I got like no hope right now. Unfortunately for these people, you know.
Again, I work at a place where people are on medication monitoring. They actually show up daily,
Right.
Yeah.
and they take to get medications put into their mouth.
Sure. But they have to be willing to do it, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
So there's a lot of
I've just learned how to do motivational interviewing and things of that nature. And it's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have the workforce, the people like Dekel, who have not only, I'm talking to you, you clearly have the intelligence to do it. And then there's a determination if you have the temperament to do it.
Sure.
Right? So you have a lot of people who go to school and do all these things, and they get out in the workforce, and they don't have the temperament to actually interview these people and realize, align their goals with this is why the medication is needed.
Well, and it's a hard industry. I mean, I liken it to, I don't know if you know this, but years and years and years ago, I was gonna be a police officer in Phoenix.
I remember. Yeah.
So I went through all the things. I missed the run by like 30 seconds because I was sick that day.
Yeah.
And in that process, I was kind of like seeing it through to see if I could do it. But in the process of doing the ride-alongs, meeting the other officers and stuff, a lot of them were friends, you know, good guys. Don't have anything negative to say about them, but very jaded to the world because the things they see every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The stuff that I was finding shocking was very tame to them.
Yeah.
And I kind of took a step back and I'm like, I don't want that to be the world that I live in every day.
Yeah.
Same thing. I did a lot of work in the jails and the prisons in Arizona, the Durangos, and even in Florence, and the DOC officers there. You know, you might as well be in prison because you're in prison every day.
Yeah.
You know, you're a DOC, but you're there every day. Yeah. And I look at those jobs, and my hat's off to you because you're doing it. But I could not live in that every day.
It
as
is
a profession. And I kind of think that about what you guys do
It
as well.
is really tough. I mean, when I did behavioral health contract with DSHS, I remember I had this client. She was probably in her like 60s, 70s, and she was living in an apartment, a low-income apartment, like right across the street from Harborview. And she was quite lovely, but she had a lot of issues. Like her apartment was a mess, everything, right?
Also amazing how much low income housing is in that area. You
Yes.
even
Oh
realize
man. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't even
Yeah,
know.
so
Joe,
much
you
low
have
income
no-
housing.
You have no idea.
It is.
Really?
It is.
It's
It is
been
crazy.
mind-boggling
yeah.
to me.
Like around Harborview, there's at least 4 or 5,
Sorry.
like just around. But
Capitol
yeah.
Hill too.
Yeah. Capitol Hill. Yep.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
High rises,
Yep.
low income housing.
Yeah.
High rise. Look, you know, you would even know.
You
it
wouldn't
was
know
there.
it. You wouldn't know it.
Okay, sorry. So
And she wasn't paying rent, like all these. She was smoking in her apartment, and so the landlord was like, "Look, this is unsafe. Dekel, work with her. Make sure." I'm like, she has been here for like 25 years. You expect me to come in and just snap my fingers and just all of a sudden change her behavior, right?
Right.
But the thing crazy is this. She was on the verge of getting evicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I started reaching out to other housing agencies. No one could get her on a list because they're like, well, technically she still has a home.
Yeah.
Correct.
And until she gets evicted
can't get
on the
nominated.
street,
She can't get
get on
nominated.
a list. She can't do anything. I'm like, well, she's on oxygen. She has, and I'm like, so what are you? And again, even though I knew this, I'm still like,
I just
wait.
learned about the nomination list.
Oh, really?
Again, I'm a
It's
medical
medical,
provider
yeah. So it's seen that other side, yeah.
in a psych, in a behavioral health organization, which has a great partnership with Harborview.
Mhm.
So I'm learning these
Yeah.
things, and
Well,
that type of
It's
stuff blew my mind.
it's
And
crazy.
that makes me think of, and I don't want to go into a sad place here, but Becca.
Yeah.
Right. When she was hospitalized for her cancer.
Yeah.
Everything was going south very fast.
Yeah.
She was in a ton of pain.
Mm.
I don't know why they didn't tell us about this procedure prior to, but there was this radiation treatment that was a laser blast to a specific location, and they wanted to try it to shrink this tumor that was growing in her liver.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, okay, let's do that then. Let's do that thing. I could not get her to UW for that treatment because she was admitted at Valley.
That's right.
I had to get her that treatment. I would have to get her to check out of Valley, get her home,
Mm-hmm.
then get her checked into UW.
Yeah.
The condition that she was in.
Yeah.
That was not going to happen. I was like talking with in-home care. Like, how do I get my wife from this hospital to our house to then transport her from our house to UW? She didn't last that long, unfortunately, but the process blew me away. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're telling me there's a procedure at another hospital. Why can't we transfer?
Just transfer. Just get an
Why can't you
ambulance,
bring the
like,
machine here? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe the machine's huge. I don't know. But, you got to take her home first.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's that's when I had my meniscus surgery. It wasn't until I had to go through the process of doing that I stopped. Like, I used to get really upset with my patients. This is before I was in my current position when I was family provider, because they wouldn't follow through with the
with the
referral
yeah.
I gave. And I was like, it wasn't until I went to have my surgery and I had to do all these, I had to get the MRI and all these things, and I had to get it at a different place, and I realized how hard it was.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And I only knew because I knew who to call, what to say. I knew
Right.
the key words to get past the front desk
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff.
Right.
It wasn't until I was like, oh, let me lay back on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. It is.
challenging you
It
like
is.
that.
It is so tough for families that are taking care of someone that's ill, whether it's dementia, right, bipolar, anything, to navigate our healthcare system. It is a
It's
full-time job in itself.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating. And for those caregivers and those
It's flawed.
supporters, it's really, really tough.
It's flawed, but I do want to go back to something you said, Joe, in terms of like what you saw when you did ride-alongs and how it is a challenge daily not to get desensitized to what I deal with and what Dekel sees and what seems hopeless, because it can. And I've been a service provider at Monroe Reformatory here in Washington. And, you hear the clink of that door closed behind you and you sign that waiver. Like, whatever happens. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? But then you believe that you're fulfilling a need. And if it's not me, then who will do it? But
Is there a sense of obligation there?
there is, and I believe from the beginning of our conversation and my lived experience as someone with narcolepsy, and that helplessness that I felt for so many years. Because it even has a bigger thing. When you're always tired, like when someone says they're sleepy, and I say I'm sleepy, they don't understand I'm talking about two different things. Like you have no idea what it means to be tired. Like, because the tired I feel is an overwhelming, full body, like almost out of body experience of like fatigue. So I've been sleepy, like pulling a late shift and been sleepy. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't even try to describe that to people anymore. Like, you don't understand what I'm talking about.
Real quick, funny story.
Yeah.
I woke up one time heading to work and had a headache. Don't know why. Popped like 3 or 4 Tylenol, right?
Okay.
Big guy. They were PMs.
Oh no!
I was at work, dude. I was like that scene at Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
What is happening?
There's a
So I
lot
don't know
of
if it's
Benadryl.
that bad, but that's what it made me think of.
There's a lot of Benadryl. You took a lot of Benadryl. Yeah. So I think that's funny.
That is just
I was like, I don't know what's happening right now.
But think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
you become almost antisocial, like in my 20s. I didn't want to go out because even then they did not have extended release. So, now the drugs I took like as a teenager, it was to me, I called them crack pills because I would have to have them everywhere because the doctor told me they're going to last about 3 hours. And then when they stop working right then. So you need to have them.
Oh, and there's no taper.
There was no extended release at the time.
Got you.
Extended release hadn't even come out. They haven't come out with it yet.
Gotcha.
So, whereas now I can take like pills in the morning and I'm good for most of the day. I'm actually working with my newest provider in terms of splitting the dose because it works a little bit better for me. But neither here nor there. They did not have those drugs when I first started. So it was like, even as in my late teens, early 20s, I have drugs at work, in my backpack, in my car, because I would forget to take them.
right.
But immediately,
About
15 minutes out of the house, I'd realize I must have forgotten to take my meds because I'm driving.
Yeah.
Because knock on wood, I've been driving for the last 40 or 30 some years. And I've never, had a problem.
Yeah.
But I used to forget to take it all the time. And now that was a game changer when they came out with extended release because I would just crash.
It just changed. Yeah, it changed. You were able to like re-engage with your life fully, in a sense, right?
It changed my life, my late 20s. It changed. This is for indication. When I got to college, I was on methylphenidate, 5 milligrams twice a day.
Okay.
By the time I graduated, I was on 80 milligrams.
Oh, wow.
Wow. They have finally gotten it to a dose where I could function because I was like, I got to change something because I'm gonna flunk out of college because I don't remember anything that happens during class.
That's
like
wild.
even though some class I'm able to stay awake, I stay awake through the whole class. I'll walk out and I'm like, what the heck we just talked about?
Yeah.
People take sleep for granted too. Like, I recently have had a harder time falling asleep. I'm sure it has to do with my wife passing. But prior to that happening, man, I'd hit the bed and I was out, and she was hitting me because I was snoring. Right?
Yeah.
Well, you cannot fall asleep before me because then I can't fall asleep.
Right.
But I just, since she passed, I lay in bed I'll read for 30 minutes. I'll listen to a podcast for an hour. Like sometimes I hit the bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock and fall asleep at like 11:30 midnight. And I'm getting better at it. I've found some things, workout,
Kind of
read,
a sleep hygiene. So,
when to eat, so you don't because that can affect it.
Yeah.
I've been playing with all that stuff and I'm getting better, but this is the first time in my life I've ever had an issue falling asleep. No, I can nap. Naps are great.
Naps are great.
If I get home from work early or something,
just
the
like-
girls aren't home, I hit the couch, I'm out. 45 minutes or something, I'm up, I'm good to go.
Yes.
But sleeping at night, this is the first time in my life I've ever had a hard time doing it.
People don't
So,
realize that your body's restoration, lies in your sleep.
Yeah.
And if body is not able to restore itself, then you begin to accumulate what they call a sleep debt, and eventually that debt comes due.
Yeah,
and you end up having a breakdown.
Well, I mean, you can have a full on. I mean, it can be. Well, you can die. One, right?
Yeah.
But also mental psychosis, like all the things you're talking
Yes,
about.
yeah.
Like that's it's some
all
severe
those-
side effects from sleep deprivation.
From sleep deprivation, and it's hard to balance that. And many of even the patients I see, Seroquel is like a lifesaver because it allows them to sleep at night. But on the flip side, when you're outside, I remember a patient telling me, he seemed to get pretty stable, but he was still unhoused. And again, I'm the medical provider at the facility that I'm at, and I had, for a short time, provided him a bridge of psych meds because I could see in his chart what he was saying to me was true, that he had been stabilized at another organization on these meds. So I felt comfortable. So in those situations where, because there aren't enough psych providers,
Right.
so he's on a waiting list to see the psych provider, which
it's
is
another
crazy.
thing.
It's a whole other subject. So I said, you know what? No, I will provide this person a bridge. So he's getting pretty stable, but then he starts showing up, and some of the people in the organization are coming to me, like he's showing up and he's like smelling really bad, and I think he's has poop, feces on himself. And so I go to talk to this person. I say, hey, how's it going? And I was like, man, do you need like some, how do you tell somebody like a man diaper?
Right,
something
right, yeah,
are you
exactly,
having any
yeah.
issues? And he goes, man, I'm doing that. I gotta sleep outside, man. I do that for protection. He's like, man, some things happen to you, like they do things to you.
Right.
Now
right.
and
I've heard that from people that have been in prison.
correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Similarly,
Mhm.
and this person had been in and out of prison. And again, I took this person at their word. I could say, I put in all my notes. I say I have no expectation that this person is a reasonable and reliable historian.
Yeah.
Literally on every note.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the voice told him that
Right. Yeah.
or if there was
Wow.
actually imminent
I didn't even
danger.
consider that you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to do is to, even with the expression on my face, to have them think I don't believe them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That is the biggest
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I have to acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
what they've said. Okay. I did say, well, listen, you've just taken on this strategy, though, and I've known you for several months. You didn't have to. What has changed with where you're staying that you believe you had to take on this strategy?
Right.
So instead of saying, I believe you, I don't believe you, I just started asking some more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Because, and I never did really get to know what his motivation.
Well, and it's I giggled a little bit because it's funny that what you guys have to take into consideration in your profession, right? But I was thinking to myself, you have to do that for the betterment of that person. I've learned to do that with people that are filling you full of shit just so they go away.
No. It's the same
Where you're like,
principle.
they're like, yeah, man, and this one time I did that, and you're like, very cool.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
great.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Yep.
I gotta go.
Yep.
So anyway,
Good to see you.
Yep.
You know what?
I mean, you're doing it to get to an end game.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm going, I've done that.
Well, it's also respecting the word that I hate. That's my way of respecting their autonomy.
Sure.
Is by acknowledging whatever it is, and it may not even be bullshit. It might be real. So, but they're lived and what they've experienced.
Lived experience, yeah.
Because
However that experience
however
happened.
it is,
Yeah.
it's the only way we're going to make inroads into being able to help them.
Sounds like we got a long
The
ways to go, man.
saying I have it at work is like, until we do better, the patients continue to suffer.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we have to do better, and if we're going to be care providers, we have to actually care.
Yes. Yeah.
about them.
I want to go back, Dekel, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
I butted in on your thing here. I'm interviewing you and him at the same time now. When we first started, you kind of started in on the drug problem and the term crackheads back in the day and seeing people openly using on the streets. I want to get both of your opinions on that. Where are you at with that? I mean, do you think that opening, like for me personally, okay, when I was younger, I smoked weed, right? High school, maybe a little bit after high school. For me personally, I decided at one point that that's not for me. I'm not doing that anymore, right?
Yeah.
At that time when I was doing it, it was illegal, right?
Yeah.
I had to get a dime bag from a dude I knew.
Right.
Probably just came from Mexico.
Yeah.
Unless I was visiting Southern California.
Right.
Then there was some good stuff in Southern California. But it was taboo. It was illegal.
Right.
I always thought to myself, my dad went to prison for marijuana. Got pulled over. It was in his vehicle. Changed his life for the worst until he passed away. Because of weed, right? I always thought to myself, that is not a drug where you should go to prison for it, right? Not only that, I will say that one should be legalized. I've done it. You know, I'm in better shape off of a joint than getting wasted, right?
Is it a drug at all?
Right,
Like,
right.
Or is it a plant?
Right.
It just grows. As Cat Williams would say, it just grows like that.
Right. Yeah.
But I will say, I feel like personally, and this is not attack on the cannabis industry, but since they've opened up all of these shops,
Correct.
it has had a negative effect on our community.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on all of that? I mean,
So,
and it doesn't stop
yeah,
with weed, right?
so,
The bigger
it doesn't
problem
stop with
is
weed. So I mean, if we're looking at weed, so I have a 17-year-old at home. Okay. And so when Julius was a freshman, he started using weed, right? And so at first, my husband and I were like kind of checking in, and then we found it.
Yeah.
But it is really interesting how easy minors can get vapes because it's not joints anymore. It's vapes. That is what's easy to get.
Right.
You know, before back in the day, it was like you had to get the joint. You had all these other supplies. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it was work.
Now it's a vape. And if someone's friend has a sister, brother that's 21 or these vape shops just sell tickets, you know? So from the perspective of like weed and minors, it's not good.
Yeah.
It is not good at all. Now, as going into adults, I have a lot of clients that are on the job and they have a vape pen. They're like, I just take a quick puff.
Yeah.
Like, well, how many puffs a day are you doing? And so I had this one client track. He's like, it's like 35, 45 times a day at work.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's not even realizing how much he's doing and how it's impacting because it's masking, right, what's really going on, his anxiety or whatever's going on, right? And so then it's like exploring, like, okay, we don't even look in terms of like talking like, well, why you're doing that, like from the past, like what's the trigger?
Sure.
But just understanding like, well, what is it that you're looking for now? Like, why are you relying on that?
Right.
But the vaping, it's so bad. And just from a medical perspective, what does it do to our lungs? Like, you know, the vape, right?
Correct. So I want to touch on that in two parts.
Okay.
So first part, I'll come back to the weed specifically.
Yeah, and I was just using that as kind of
I'll come back to weed specifically. So I thought I knew a pretty good amount about street drugs and stuff. I didn't know anything until I took this job.
Sure.
Didn't realize, clear. Like, what's clear? That's meth. Okay. I didn't know that. What are blues? Okay, blues, that's fentanyl. Well, what's fetty? Well, that's fentanyl powder. What is okay?
Wow.
And what is strong? Okay, what is
educated
this?
here.
What is this? What is it form? How is it consumed? I mean, do people still smoke crack? Oh yeah, there's a ton of crack, and there's pink crack, and then there's
Wow. So you deal with it a lot then.
Oh no! I'm in where I work is pretty much the drug center of Seattle, and it starts there and it goes out. Okay. So I grew up in Southern California in the 80s, and you're a crackhead with a crack pipe. You smoke weed, you go to prison.
Yeah.
3 strikes, you're out.
Yep.
So now they come in with things, paraphernalia is called like a bubble. So you have this bubble with a pipe on it, and you put, it's kind of like a small bong, basically,
Okay.
aka a crack pipe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
I was like, oh, because I was like, they keep asking me for a bubble. What's a bubble? And they showed it to me. I was like, that's a crack pipe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so
They're just
when
changing the
black
terminology.
folks was
Yes.
doing it,
Yep.
it was a crack pipe.
Yep.
But now that it reached your front door, it's called a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. They changed the names.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's real cute.
Yeah.
Right.
That's real cute. Now that you've found medicinal reasons for chronic, now it's not chronic anymore. It's not endo anymore. It's medicinal
It's medicinal,
cannabis.
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
because you found a reason
Mm-hmm.
for it to be medicinal.
Right.
So now people don't go to jail for that anymore. Well, what about the people still people still sitting in jail serving 20
Right.
years
Good question.
for selling the stuff that you now say is medicine
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
It used to be Philly's Best on 23rd and Union. It was a Philly shop. It was Philly steak shop, best in town.
Yeah.
But now it's a bong place with a weed shop behind.
Is it really?
Yeah. Uncle Ike's.
Uncle
Now
Ike's.
it's Uncle Ike's.
Uncle Ike's.
And I was like, so now you're front
got a
and
few
center.
places,
They're front-
Uncle
yeah.
Ike's.
There's one on Capitol Hill, one
Yeah,
in Berry,
they're
one
everywhere.
in Soto. So now, okay, I feel a certain way about this SUD. Understanding the medical terminology of substance use disorder, stimulant use disorder, opioid use disorder, and all the treatments and things changes the brain and all that stuff. I was like, it's convenient that y'all came up with this shit when it reached your door.
Yeah.
When it was just black folk
Yeah.
or brown folk, Mexican folks, we were just drug addicts.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of a personal
Yeah. Oh, no.
PTSD about that.
Sure. Sure.
So that's the one thing. I respect it. The majority of the patients I see are white. Yet
Do
most
you
of the people
think-
who are demonized
Or,
around me are people of color.
yeah.
I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Because there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a positive or a negative effect of the backing off? Of
No,
the
the
war on
approach.
drugs?
I'm pro the approach. I mean, okay, it's scientifically based. We see it. It's just like when someone asks me, like, "What's the hardest drug to get off of?"
Yeah.
And I say, "Well, what do you think the hardest drug? What do you think the hardest drug is to go?
Meth.
What do you think the hardest?"
I would say opiates, which I know
I would-
encompasses a lot.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I would tell you scientifically, the hardest drug to get off of is nicotine, cigarettes.
True. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They're right.
Why? Now let's think about the mechanics of it. Like dopamine is our pleasure neurotransmitter. It's excited. It could be someone who's really overweight who likes to eat. They may get that from a ham sandwich. May get the same elevation of dopamine as a crackhead.
Yeah.
Right. Literally does during crack. Like it could be that bad. Like
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
their addiction.
Sure.
Okay. Well, those that neurotransmitter and those receptor sites are in the brain.
Right.
Okay. And mostly centered only in the brain. We have things called nicotinic receptors.
Okay.
Nicotinic receptors are in your brain. They're in all your tissue, in your organ tissue, in your toes. Nicotinic receptors are everywhere. So when a person gets addicted to nicotine,
It is literally their
their whole being
body. Yeah.
Wow.
is addicted to nicotine.
That's crazy.
So it's not kicking a drug that's just affecting their brain and neurologically. It's like I used to play basketball in a basketball league, and the guy had really bad asthma, and like, but at halftime he had to go have a cigarette. Asthma.
Yeah.
He has
yeah,
asthma.
Right.
Yeah.
But he needed the nicotine just to, because it would just completely calm his
Yeah.
whole body
Yeah.
down, and he was good.
My
He could breathe.
stepdad passed away at 49, I think. had what's the emphysema.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was ever actually diagnosed with cancer or not, but had the tank
Yeah.
withered away.
Yeah. And still smoking.
2-3 packs a day.
Yeah.
And then you have, and then my roommate in college took me to my first farm ever. And his grandfather was in his 90s and smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
Every day.
I don't know how you can afford that anymore.
Well,
First of all,
I know.
Right.
But it's funny too because a lot of individuals with severe mental health they smoke. They smoke.
They have to
smoke. Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's my own personal PTSD with just. It's part of it. It's just the nomenclature used around, like, we don't say they're drug addicts anymore.
Yeah.
They have substance use disorder.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, they have opioid use disorder. They're not, you know, they don't have addiction.
Do you think that we are worse off, or do you know? I don't know. Are we worse off than any other country in that way? And the reason I ask is because it seems to me that we are one of the biggest economies for that.
Are you talking about in terms of like drug usage?
We are
Yes.
we are the economy. We are the world's economy for drug use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So do you think maybe that's the problem?
Well,
like,
I mean-
are they seeing this in Europe? You know, Amsterdam has a red light district, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never been, but the continuation of it is like, you go to Amsterdam, everything's great, everyone's fine. If you want to do some drugs, you go to the red light district.
But you know, but even in Europe, they have universal health care. So
Yeah,
as a
and
child,
exactly.
right? If your 2-year-olds get sick or 6-month-old get sick, you're not afraid or worried about, am I going to get a big bill? Can I afford? You know,
And the stigma. It is big. It's just like I was watching a TV show the other day about a person going through police academy in England.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but you know, the police officers in England, they don't carry a firearm.
Yeah, they don't carry a firearm.
Oh, yeah,
No,
I knew
yeah.
that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look,
carry
Matt
a
watches all
baton.
these like
Yeah.
British
Yeah.
shows,
You
cop
know,
shows. Yeah.
And because I was like you, Joe, one of my first job offerings, except my initial college degree was in finance and accounting, was with the Washington State Liquor Control Board.
Oh,
So
okay.
back in the day, when they only had liquor stores, you could only
Yeah,
buy liquor in a Washington State liquor store, right? So the job was to go and audit them, right? But I was going to be auditing liquor sold on the res,
Okay.
a particular res.
Yeah.
No problem, whatever. So I was coming out here, I was interviewing. It was like 300 of us first, and it was 150 of us, then it was 20 of us. It was like 4 of us. I was like, damn, I'm doing this job, you know?
Right.
I remember it was going to pay me $27,000. I was like, Mama, you can stop working. We free.
I remember those days.
Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway,
I remember those days, man. Remember that first, when I got $40K a year, I was like, man,
what? I am balling. Okay. So, but so certainly, it didn't even click. It didn't even, Joe, I was so naive, so stupid. I was 22 years old. They're like, well, we need you to do this physical. You know, run this
right.
2 miles or whatever it was, and how far can you stretch and all kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I flying colors. So now it's just down to me and this other person, and they say, oh, well, we're going to assign you this job, and then you get to go to once you finish academy. And I was like, excuse me?
Right.
What academy? What we talking about? What academy? What police academy? I go, wow. What? I said, I'm just going to throw this out there. I go, where I come from, if you have a gun, you better be ready to use it.
Yeah.
Right. I go, that's why I've never held a gun in my life.
Right.
I go, why do I need to go to police academy? And they were like, well, if you're out there and you have arresting authority. Oh, so you want me out on the res by my black self?
Wow.
And try to arrest somebody? I go, they got guns too.
That's
Right.
wild,
Right.
dude.
They got guns. I go, no. I wish you guys had told me this. I got done so many interviews with y'all. I done ran for y'all. If y'all had told me, I was laughing when you were telling in my mind your story. I was like, I went through that test too, and when they told me I had to go to police, I was like, oh no, I thought I was gonna be an accountant, bro.
Right.
I want to do numbers.
Right.
Audit some books. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry, but I wanted to say actually I thought about that.
Well, real quick off that,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work on the reservations in Arizona.
Mhm.
You know, the biggest ones being the Navajo reservations out there.
Yeah.
And I was running a crew out there, and one of the, I think, elders, older gentleman that was there, you have to go to the Taro office and check in and make sure that you can work on, you know, their land.
Yeah.
First thing he says to me, "You treat us with respect out here, or you'll disappear."
You just and my
I said, "Yes, sir." Yes, sir, I will.
my friend told me that when he took me on his farm. He lived up in Cusick, Washington, which is a small town in northeastern Washington, and his grandfather would say, "Hey, John, don't come close to the creek, close to the creek." And I was like, "John," I thought he was saying crip. I was like, is he saying something about me? Like, I was like, I didn't say nothing, you know. I was like, John, I was like, why are you saying crip? He said, he didn't say crip, he said creek. I said, what's a creek? He said, a creek, the water. I was like, a creek? He just looked at me and shook his head. And I was like, what's the big thing about the creek? I was like, no, if you cross the creek, you on the res and you could disappear.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you know, you're on their land. And so if they shoot you and you won't be found.
Yeah, it's
And
different.
I was like, oh, for real? And he was like, for real.
Yeah.
On the res. So that colored my thinking when they were like, you're going to be on this reservation.
You can
Right,
arrest.
right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
You're like,
Try to arrest somebody?
Right.
Good luck with that.
Jeez,
Yeah. So
jeez.
but lastly, I digress back to the whole to weed specifically.
Yeah.
You know, I reference what has happened, that transition in terms of like it being taboo and no longer being taboo. And
Right.
now you can see all this research about all these medicinal purposes. But still going to what you're saying about your son, but I can still tell you 100 reasons why vaping will kill you and cause all kind of problems.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what my biggest issue isn't even that, to be honest with you, is the fact that the brain is still developing.
That's
Yes.
And that's my big thing is like, give your brain a chance to finish doing its work developing.
Yep.
It's work enough to take in these life experiences so that you can mature in such a way that you have a healthy disposition and optimism about yourself and how you feel about yourself and your life.
Yep.
Give yourself a chance to get there before you start not even bringing a halt to that process, but we
Just
do
impeding
know
that.
chemically
Yeah.
that you're impeding the
Yeah.
progression of that by using, weed like that.
It's really sad because he would tell me stories at school. He's like, "Oh, yeah, the ambulance was here because someone OD'd in the bathroom. Oh, this is going on. Oh, this is going on." And it's heartbreaking to hear.
Yeah.
But that I guess word accessibility,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But again, it is coming from, like, I was born and raised in New York, and I remember when I would go visit my aunt in Hempstead. It was just like she had a house, but just like right down the block with the projects. And my brother and I cousins, we would ride our bike and be zigzagging out of all the crackheads. You know what I mean? Just
it
laid
was
out.
nothing.
And now it's just like normal. Like, whoa, don't hit his foot. We would just.
Wow.
And so, but it is there because of the opioid issues, like in white suburbia. Now it's affecting like the soccer moms or this and that. Now all of a sudden.
It's now we can take it seriously.
Yes,
Now we do
yes.
the research. Now we invest in it.
Now the funding is there.
You talked about the hotels that had been refurbed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember I was working at a clinic in Bellevue, and one of the providers there was selling his house because even though he was all for it, one was moving near him.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, but not in my
Yes.
neighborhood."
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay, and I was
You
like,
see
well,
that all the time.
all the time, and
But
so
you see a lot of those videos now with, the immigration stuff that's happening, obviously, or however you feel about it. But the people are pro-immigration, and then someone will show up and be like, "Hey, these guys need a place to stay."
Say-
Yeah.
And
Or
they're
the-
like,
well, yeah. Yep. Needle exchange programs.
Needle-
They were trying to do one in White Center, and they were like, "No, well, we don't want, well, we, and they couldn't.
They couldn't
And they couldn't-
reconcile. But but then you'd have those few who would stick there because it actually was at their door and their child overdosed. So now they've changed their tune. And it's unfortunate. I wouldn't want anyone's child to go through that.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that you had to have that experience in order for you just to have the empathy.
To help someone
To
else.
help someone else.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how I would feel if that moved into my neighbor. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
I think from putting my money where my mouth is, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't object. Would I be happy with it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that is where we find ourselves in our society.
Yeah.
Whether you talk about politically right now, with what's going on in like Venezuela and Iran and Iran and all these other places, you can say it runs the gamut. It's still the same question that you're asking, Joe.
Right.
Like, now, then what? Now what?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And like, what's the actual answer?
Yeah. I'll
Man.
tell you that when you get into conversations like this, and this is a great conversation, I fall back on who I am. I am here now.
Yeah.
I have friends. I love doing this podcast. I have a good job.
Yeah.
Love my daughters. I could disappear
And
and not deal with any of it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
Like I could get me some property in the middle of nowhere.
Right. And just like kind
And
of
be
like,
content.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because
But
even
that's
like,
almost like the only solution sometimes.
Right.
If you're trying to get away from it, I guess.
well, I mean, look at like when we have to vote for property tax, right?
Right.
There's so many people that are like, well, I don't have kids. Why am I going to vote to increase? You know,
Yeah.
but then it's like, well, it's also,
It's a greater good
it
thing.
is.
It's a great-
It's a greater good. Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly, it's sad. It's a sad commentary, but I don't watch the news.
It's hard to anymore, man.
I find it so difficult
Yeah. I agree.
to watch the news, and I know I'm going to find out about it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's
Then you got to run it through an
The-
AI thing. And make
right,
sure
right. It's not fake. right, exactly.
Oh,
But it's. I guess it eventually we all have to decide, and it's a decision to make. To
Do you
me,
think it was this exhausting and difficult for people 20, 30, 40 years ago?
I
For all of
It
this,
is
for
this,
all these
no.
topics that we
This
talk
is
about.
this is an unintended consequence, but should have been a forecasted
yeah.
consequence of what I call the interwebs. But I remember in 1996, it was 1994, and my friends, I was in college, and my friends told me, "Hey, man, you got to get into computer science, man. There's this thing coming." I was like, "What's
Yeah.
what
Missed that boat. Huh?
What thing?
what thing you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh man, it's gonna be like everybody can communicate with everybody, and you could. Man, this ain't war games, dog.
Right.
This
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
are you talking about, man? I ain't got time for that. Those friends of mine are now retired.
Yeah.
By the way,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, getting snatched up by Microsoft and
Yeah.
Intel at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like
And
that dude
now
that
they're
bought a
not-
pizza with 230,000 Bitcoin or something.
Yeah,
way
yeah.
back in the day when it wasn't worth anything.
When it was
Yeah.
worth anything. But they're now all retired because they're stinking rich.
Yeah.
Because they got
had
that was
the
a
foresight.
bad, that was a bad decision.
Yeah. I get it, man. I
But
get
yeah,
it.
that it's an unintended consequence of like so much information and information overload.
Yes.
And
Which is done intentional.
it was just, yeah.
You know, it is really done intentional for the manipulation to dumbing the masses, right? You know, to keep us chasing our tail.
Well, and I think this goes back well into conversations that we've had previously, which is actually where we got the most comments was people felt overwhelmed, insecure, afraid
Yeah.
because of all of these things that are
Yeah.
happening. You know,
Yeah.
you have a lot of people out there that are spiraling right now because of political decisions that are being made,
Right.
You know, because
Right.
of military decisions that are being made,
Right.
Yeah.
because of immigration decisions
Yeah.
that are being made. And, you know, like you said, I've separated myself from mainstream media for the most part. I pick and choose what what do you want to call it? Alternate media.
Yeah.
I get my information of, right?
Yeah.
Because even our media now is so divided and one-sided.
Yeah.
You know, you can't There's no
I
goddamn gray area.
I can't look at Facebook and see what where Dekel went on his vacation without the algorithm putting things into my feed that I have to choose to either ignore and scroll through just to get to Dekel's page.
Yeah.
So I can find out, what that food at a restaurant looked like where he went.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to see.
And imagine with teenagers.
Yeah.
Because they're on social media all the time.
Yeah.
It is just it's
And you get on the train or whatever, and they'll bump into. I mean, I'm amazed. I'm just like, I watched this young lady on the light rail, and she never once looked up.
That is my biggest rule with my daughter.
And I mean, literally, even when it announced her stop, she got up from her seat. She never looked
That's so
up.
crazy to
She
me.
felt her way with the pole to the door, turned and walked.
Wow.
I was just like, she never
never looked.
once
Have you ever
looked up.
Have you ever been in a waiting rooms are always the best, right? You got an appointment somewhere, doctor, whatever, you're in this waiting room. I'm not a big phone guy. I will check my emails. I will for the podcast and stuff. I usually dedicate a couple hours maybe in the evening if it takes that long to answer comments or do whatever. But I'm not on my phone all the time. I'm that guy. I'm old school. I'll sit in the doctor's office and
Just
what's in the fish tank.
I
Have you
just
ever
like
noticed?
to see my environment. I
Yeah,
need,
well,
to,
that's
I
it.
need
Yeah.
to see.
But how many people are
on the phone,
phones?
and it's all
Everybody.
ages.
All ages.
All
It's
ages.
grandmas, great grandmas, little
I feel like the weirdo when I'm not on.
to be I'm not trying to be a fatalist or anything or speak tragically, but I always wonder, like, when I see like horrible things that happen, I was like, how many people didn't see the person coming
right.
simply because they
They
weren't looking?
yeah.
Like-
That awareness has just diminished.
Yeah.
And
When I grew up, it's like I never walked down the sidewalk late at night. I walked
right.
down the middle of the street. They're like, why are you in the middle of the street? I was like, I'm not getting jumped.
Yeah. I can see.
I need to see
yeah.
where everybody's coming from.
I'm in a restaurant. I want to see the door.
I want to see the door.
I'm that guy.
Yep.
All those
Yep.
things that people think maybe think is weird. It was like I always
Self-preservation, man.
wonder. I always wonder. Like I wonder how many of these. I mean, tragedies are tragedies, but like people just weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the easiest victim is the one that doesn't see you coming, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's why I
Yep.
tell my girls, one, you can't be on your phone. If you're out and about, unless somebody calls you and you still got your eyes,
Yeah.
360.
Right.
I said, you're not doing this. And then the other thing is be loud, be crazy.
Yeah.
Some dude checking you out, scream at him.
Right, yeah,
What are you
yeah.
looking at?
Yeah.
The meek
Yeah.
one, the shy one, the one on their
They're
phone.
the ones,
They're
When
the
Julius
victims.
gets on the light rail, I was saying, like, if you have your earbuds, whatever, one in, only one.
The thing,
Yeah.
that's
Only
the other,
one in.
That's the other thing. How many people
Wear the
I see
these.
have these earbuds in, and then they miss. They end up looking up, and they're like,
Oh,
gosh.
I missed.
Because not only were you not looking up to see where you were, but you couldn't even hear them announce your
Where,
stop.
Yep. Yeah. Look, when I went to Germany years ago for the gay games, and we were took the light rail back from our hotel into the field.
Yeah.
I missed my stop because I was actually daydreaming. I was like looking outside,
That I've done.
and I was just
I've
like,
missed the exit on the road.
and I'm looking,
That's
and,
fine.
and I'm
That's-
just like,
that's
oh
acceptable.
no, right? But it's like this device. It pulls not just our attention, but I mean now, it's like I have a lot of parents that will call me and be like, my kid is always on his phone, and I don't know what to do, and it's like. First, it's like, okay, well, your kid is 10. Why does he have a phone? I can't really ask that, right?
sure.
But it's just like we are providing this device to these kids way too young.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
way too young.
Another thing I noticed, and I want to come back to one original topic that we started with, but one thing I realized is that we also have to be sensitive to the fact that kids can now process more than we could.
Yes.
So my mother, I remember my mother would have a station wagon, picking up other kids to go to church, whatever, and we want to turn the radio up, and my mom would either be thinking about something or she was, because back, no internet back then, so she had the directions in her head, and she was like looking at street signs, trying to figure out like, how am I going to get here? How am I going to get here?
Yeah.
And she'd have to turn the music. She would like,
Turn
will
the
you
music-
guys turn that off? I cannot
Concentrate.
Right?
Yep.
So now I look at myself and like it's almost having the radio on. It almost helps me think. So like And now I watch my nephew, and he's doing 3 and 4 things at once, swearing he's paying attention. And so just as evolving beings, I think kids now have evolved with the inability to like take in more information than probably that we were.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back to one thing is like one of the other things that I see a lot is that I deal with a lot of people who, it used to be a facility just for people living with HIV.
Mm.
So basically, you know, it was a queer facility basically. But now it's been opened up. It's not just that anymore. But with now it's a lot of people with mental illness as well. So it's interesting. And again, what colors people's mental illness.
Right.
I have several people who I deal with where one of the people in their head, the personas, however you want to classify it, the voices they hear are the ones who are bashing them for being gay and hating that person that they were. Yeah. So, you know, similar to the doctor asking me, is the devil chasing you? You know, it's like whatever, I'm not even going to call it, whatever my lived experience has been, it will color how my mental illness presents itself.
Yeah. It's almost like when you see someone with multiple personalities and how that the personalities will be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a mental doctor in any way, but don't they usually mimic trauma in a way, like either protecting themselves or being that maybe young child that
at
was
times,
in that situation,
there are times, so
there are times.
There are times,
there are definitely times. I just think I've had more than one. It's anecdotal still because I haven't tested this, but I have more than 5. It's a few, a lot of people who I call them the old gays, you know. Or,
the old guard.
The old guard. But
yeah.
some of them, but then the ones who are very young, very young is younger than me, who are living with HIV and also have mental illness, who are schizophrenic, specifically one or more of the personas that are prevalent in their mind is one who hates the person of origin, and then there's somebody who is developed to support the person of origin. And then there's kind of somebody in between, and there are all these things, but clearly responding to like the trauma of not being accepted, being kicked out of their house, or being whatever has now. And then, you know, I don't know, you know, thinking back in the 90s, like what the trauma would be like being diagnosed with HIV, you know, which was a death sentence. You know, that's a death sentence. I remember when Magic Johnson, like where I was I was on a tennis court and we were listening on a radio. And we were like, oh my God. And it was my physics teacher who was like, oh yeah, he's going to die. And, but he's probably going to die of cancer. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, because the drugs are so toxic to your body that he's probably going to end up dying from cancer, actually from anything associated with HIV or AIDS. And of course, we didn't even know the difference between HIV and AIDS. Right? So, but then, so now I have patients who take 1 pill a day and who will live into their 80 or 90 or whatever longevity, and not understanding that back then so my doctoral project was on HIV. So learning the origin. And it goes back to what I originally said about my PTSD, but how we deal with drugs now. It's like when HIV was first discovered in the mid 80s, and it was in Africa, right? So the world didn't care that these Africans were dying. It wasn't until it reached Europe. And they were like, oh no. And then it reached the States. Then it reached the States. And they were like, oh, I guess we need to invest in the research for this, right? So
and even then it was different for white community gays and for black community gays.
Correct.
You know, there was a huge difference.
Well, it hit the black community a lot harder too, didn't it?
Well, yeah, that's like with everything in the black community, we're like a disproportionately reduced percentage of the population, yet a disproportionately elevated percentage of it being affected by it.
Right.
And that's due to resources and poverty in the a lot of it in the South. If I live in a small town and the nearest hospital or clinic is 40 miles away, and only 2 people in my town have a car, so how am I going to get there?
Treatment? Sure. And the cultural too, in terms of not, talking, just exactly.
Nothing is shared, and none of my business, and they're literally in the research I had done for this project, like they're literally whole towns, like in North and South Carolina, of people who like 80% of the town was HIV positive.
Wow, that's wild.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
But I digress. So you have these people now. Magic Johnson obviously is still alive because
still going.
But through research, similar to hepatitis C, because I treated a lot of people with Hep C, is that we used to have to do genotyping. We didn't know what genotyping was in terms of like there wasn't just one HIV. There are strains of they're viral strains.
Right.
And the reason why people were taking 18, 30 pills, cocktails a day, 90%, 95% of the pills they were taking, they didn't need the research had not been completed to figure out how to test them to see what type of you had.
How to refine that.
Because then you only need this one pill. You don't have to take these
all these other ones, pills and all the side effects
that have all the other side effects and that are toxic and that are destroying your liver. But in hopes to stop this very unique virus that actually attacks your immune system. So it actually wants your immune system to come attack it. Yeah, come on, because I actually like to eat you.
Right.
I like to consume you.
I never actually thought about it that way.
That's what HIV is. And people don't realize that that's why it was so difficult to fight it, because everything you threw at it to fight, it was like, no, I like that.
This was like throwing gas on fire.
You're throwing gas on the fire. So, but now, and amazingly, this is 2017 when I was doing this research, you'll be amazed at how many medical providers have been providers for 20, 30 years who didn't know, if they take this pill once a day, it's like 99% effective against them getting HIV. Yep. You realize that, right?
Against getting
HIV.
So even if they're having sex with a person who has HIV,
I think I've seen like commercials for that.
It's called PrEP.
PrEP, okay.
PrEP is a program, pre-exposure prophylaxis. But there are now drugs, and now there's a injectable one that you could take every few months. Because there are a lot of people who have partners who are not HIV positive because they didn't know, and they're still trying to live their life. So all these things, the research and all these things, again, is there 50 years from now, we're long and gone, that the research now begins to manifest itself in a way to fix the problem. I guess the reason why I told those stories is that's what colors my optimism. Like, Wendell, stay in the fight now.
Right.
We never thought there was a solution coming for these things in the past, and now they're here. It could be the same.
I want to ask, first, I want to ask you, is there anything in particular that you wanted to get from Wendell, or are we just kind of going through?
I just want to make sure
just
having that conversation. You know what I mean? So
no, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, it's been really good.
I'm gonna tell you, we are at 2 hours.
I know. I just Matt's been calling me. I'm like, why is he calling me? I'm like, it's already 4:30.
Yeah, well, it's been a good conversation. I didn't want to stop it. But what I would like to end on, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You and I have had this conversation before. It seems like you have dealt with it a lot as well. My question is, why does it seem like schizophrenia is more prevalent now, or is it actually more prevalent now?
No. So,
because it seems like I see it everywhere. And maybe I'm just calling it schizophrenia. But
I think maybe because some people now are more aware of it.
Okay.
I think other times, for a lot of families, they try to hide their family members from being out in the open. Right. They stayed at home. They didn't allow them to leave. They didn't allow them to go to school, go to work. But now you do have these programs where individuals with schizophrenia, they have work, they can go work, volunteer at Goodwill, so now they're out in society doing.
So you think it's
right?
always been at the rate that it's at?
I would say this, Joe. If you think about it, you've been seeing it probably at the same number your whole life. It's just that we were just kind of rude and crass, and we were like, oh, like
Crazy old Jim over there.
That's crazy. That's crazy, Jim.
Yep.
That's good times. That's Ned the Wino.
Yeah.
We just called it. We called it, or we saw him all the time. He's like the crazy person on the bus, and they're crazy, right?
Kind of like how autism is now, right?
Yeah.
We're identifying it.
It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum in terms of the ability to live, and I think basically we've seen it. And again, the unintended consequence is like we knew. Let's say people in here in the state of Washington in the 60s, they had heard of this racism and like this segregation and all that stuff. They didn't know about it. They would see it on TV every now and again.
Yep.
Right.
It was really prevalent going on all the time. Rodney King was a huge watershed moment of like we had never seen the police brutality.
Yeah.
Again, the interweb has provided us the ability to see it so much now, so we can now see it. But it had always been there. We just didn't have access to seeing it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I that's my opinion. It's always been there. One, we didn't know what to call it, or we just didn't have the ability to see it as much. You know, and I can't remember who the football player was. Rice.
Jerry Rice.
No. He was a running back, but he hit his wife in the elevator. It changed his career. Never got on a team because we had always heard about football players who couldn't turn it off and due to CTE and all kinds of things, and who physically abused their partners. Yeah, but it wasn't until we saw it.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, because you are so strong.
Yeah.
And the way she fell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it was like, even for me, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even, and he's not even a big guy in football terms.
Right.
He's a small
I remember
guy.
that too. And he wasn't even trying.
He wasn't even trying. It was kind of like, and
Just
it wasn't until you saw it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. I think it's, I believe, Joe, I don't know what the numbers are. I think now we have put words to describe it, what it is, and now we just are able to see it more, and so now we have to deal with it more. But I think even as kids we were seeing it all the time, and your parents would turn you away like, oh no, don't look at that, you know, or your cousin went away. No,
we always had the crazy cat lady,
Right.
You know what I mean? She never left her house.
The hoarder,
hoarder,
all that stuff, and we just
like you said,
but now,
the wino.
but we become more aware of it, right?
Right,
So,
right.
and that's a good thing in the end.
and we jailed everybody back then.
And we jailed exactly because we didn't want to see it.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah. So real quick, final thoughts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this conversation was great. It went a lot of different places. In my head, I'm like, I could take it here, but I'm not. We're gonna because that's gonna take a whole nother 30 minutes. But no, there's a lot of different avenues we could have gone. But I do think that basically what we kind of touched mostly on today, and correct me if I'm wrong, is definitely mental health in the would impoverished be a good word? Unhoused communities. Yeah. How it's being dealt with, how they're not just mentally, but physical health, medication,
medical health,
how it's not really being received or given properly. Is that kind of, you guys are in that space. You're trying. I mean, you're not so much anymore. You're more private now, but you have been. It seems like there's a lot of work to do in that space, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I would say we distinguish it between like health, mental health, and healthcare. I think it's just all healthcare.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think if it could be looked at, and there are a lot of programs that are trying to do that in terms of like going out on police calls. You have a mental health case manager.
Yeah, and I know some different departments are trying to add that to their
because
their staff
again, it's just again money, but I think properly resourced this time. It's like it just costs too much to prosecute this person for something that as actually they should be in a psych facility to get treatment for rather than
put in prison.
Put them in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, if we look at it all as just healthcare and not really draw such a hard line in between the two.
Sure.
But again, like with any specialty, I know I don't have the bandwidth to learn enough about what Dekel does.
Sure.
I have enough on my plate just dealing with the medical stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm just telling you what I observe and what I can help with. I think if there's a better collaboration and a better well thought out collaboration. There are a lot of many great programs that house people, that get people to see Dekel, get medicated, like that. But I think the great benefit would be more of a collaboration between inter-organizationally.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Whether between the state, county, federal, and then private organizations. The issue is
money. Always money, always
back.
funding.
Money.
Yep.
Right.
Got it. I think that's a good place to stop, guys. Dekel,
All right.
you got anything you want to wrap up with?
No.
No.
This is
All
great.
right, go ahead and throw your stuff out there so everyone can get it. Your if you've got it, your socials, your email, or your business name out there.
What is my business name? Positive Awakenings. Got
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Yes, I am accepting new clients.
Okay.
What are the socials? I have TikTok, and then
Positive Awakenings. No, what is it?
growth. Positive Awakenings.
Yes, on
just,
Instagram.
Instagram.
Just check it at the bottom of it.
Yeah, I'll put
I
it
know,
in.
right?
I'll
Dude,
put it
that
in.
We'll
yeah,
add
I
it
know.
to the-
One of these days you're gonna learn it.
I'm gonna learn this stuff.
I'll clip it in for you. Wendell, anything you want to leave anybody on?
Man, I just appreciate the opportunity to just sit and chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
This was dope.
This was amazing.
Yeah, this
I
was
enjoyed
dope.
it. Good conversation, guys.
All right.
Stick Lounge Podcast, guys. Thanks. Oh, wait. That's the wrong. Sorry.
Sometimes
There we go.
life can be tough. Deals you a hand read, not ready for. It's gonna be rough. Everyone needs a helping hand.
And just real quick, I'm dying from allergies, man.
I was about to say, like, you look.
Dude, I woke up this morning and my face is like swollen shut.
Oh man, look, you need to do allergy shots.
I take like a daily,
You
and
know what?
usually it's
What are you
fine.
taking?
It's like a Zyrtec.
So cetirizine
Yeah.
is Zyrtec.
Right.
You can get the generic version at
It is.
Costco.
That's what it is.
So,
It's the
cetirizine.
generic one from Costco.
Okay, yeah, you probably need a allergy eye drop.
I have those.
Okay, you have
Put some of those in.
allergy eye drops. Best way is to get a short course of prednisone. It'll just knock it, because allergies are just an overactive immune system. So
Yeah.
if you can calm the immune system down, you calm down the allergies.
Gotcha. I love sleeping with my window open.
So
And so I'm like,
half of it may be allergies, because actually the pollen counts really aren't that high right now.
right.
So you may be having more of a immune system response to just the air coming in and just drying out your mucous membranes.
Yeah.
The body reacts by overproducing mucus and causing swelling.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been brutal for like the last week.
And a humidifier. And get a humidifier.
Get a
Oh, yeah.
humidifier.
Look at normally your furnace. Well, no, normally your furnace will actually, if you have any electric thermostat, it'll actually indicate to you like what the actual humidity in your house is.
I do have one. I don't know if it has that setting on it, but I'll check.
Normally people just ignore it.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
it's like at 30, 35, that means it's extremely dry air in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can get it to 50, 55
Okay.
That's actually
with
more
the,
ideal. Huh?
with the humidifier, then all of a sudden it's not drying out your mucous membranes when you sleep.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a fan on in the room. I like my window open because I like that cold air coming in, but I'm warm in my bed.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually think you're probably somewhere in the middle, because that's an equation for severely drying yourself out.
Screwing myself up
So
like I have.
you're
Perfect.
doing this all yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
You're blaming the pollen, but pollen's like, look.
Well,
like,
usually at the beginning of the year, I mean, it's been crazy recently because we had snow.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then sunny, and then rain, and then wind, and then usually at the beginning of the year I get this really bad like initial
Correct.
reaction, and then I'm fine for the rest of the year.
You
So
know,
you usually do too.
No,
usually.
honestly, since doing my allergy shots 3 years ago, zero. Done.
Oh, really?
I have no allergies.
And that's more so calming down your immune system, those allergy shots.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is that people think it's wet outside, so the air is moist, when it's it's counterintuitive.
Oh, okay.
At the beginning of the year, it's winter and the air is super dry.
Yeah.
And even though it looks like it's snowed, it must be like moist outside. No, that's barometric pressures, things like that, all stuff I don't even know about. All I know is at the end of the day, the air is extremely dry. So I have people coming into the clinic all the time talking about, I'm having a sinus infection. I'm like, actually, bacteria isn't waiting in your bathroom every year at the same time. Every February, it happens to you. They're sitting there, and it doesn't affect you. No, that's because of the change in the dryness in the air.
Pressure.
Makes sense. We're learning a lot today.
Look at that.
We haven't even started yet.
I know.
We might have to start with this. It's good information for everybody. All right, I'm going to play us in, guys.
All right.